Nobody saw this coming. Not the fans, not the cast, and definitely not Yandy Smith herself. Just when it seemed like things had finally settled down between Yandy and Mendeecees, a private voice note has surfaced. And it's rocking the entire love and hip-hop universe to its core. The recording, allegedly leaked from a close friend's phone, captures Yandy in tears, her voice cracking as she reveals the heartbreaking truth. And what's worse, she names names. The betrayal, the lies, the secret meetups, it's all there. Raw, unfiltered, and devastating. The internet is ablaze. Fans are reposting clips, dissecting every second of the voice note, trying to piece together how long the deception has been going on. What started as a quiet whisper online has now exploded into a full-blown reality TV scandal. Was Mendeecees really leading a double life, or is someone setting him up? And if the voice note wasn't, shocking enough, insiders claim there's even more audio that hasn't been released yet. This could be just the beginning. Buckle up, because this isn't just a messy breakup. It's an emotional war with receipts, regrets, and revenge. It all started with a phone buzz that Yandy didn't expect. Late one night, while she was scrolling through old photos of her and Mendeecees, a strange text popped up from an unknown number. It only said one thing: "Listen to this before you trust him again." At first, Yandy ignored it, thinking it was just another troll trying to stir drama. But curiosity got the better of her. She clicked the audio file attached, and what she heard changed everything. The voice on the other end wasn't Mendeecees, but it was about him. It was a familiar voice, one of her closest friends, whispering into someone else's ear about something she never thought she'd hear. Mendeecees still sees her. He just tells Yandy he's working late. He don't even hide it no more. Yandy froze. Her stomach dropped. The friend didn't say who. Her was... But the tone, the confidence, the lack of hesitation, it sounded too real. Within minutes, Yandy's heart was racing. She didn't know whether to scream, cry, or call Mendeecees right away. Instead, she did what she always did when she was overwhelmed. She pressed record on her voice notes and just started talking. And in that moment of emotional chaos, she poured out her soul. Everything she had been suppressing, the doubts, the gut feelings, the late-night absences, it all spilled out. That voice note, it would become the very clip that leaked. In the audio, her voice cracks. "I don't know who he really is anymore," she says. "I've stood by him through everything. Through prison, through the streets, through the shade from everybody. And now, this?" Fans who heard the clip when it hit the blog say it didn't even sound like Yandy. They said it was the sound of a woman whose heart had just been shattered. Quietly, completely, and on repeat. But what made it even more explosive was what came after. One of the fan pages reposted the clip with a caption that read, "Yandy finds out Mendeecees been sneaking around. Is the mystery woman someone we all know?" Within hours, the internet was flooded. Comments rolled in faster than likes. Everyone had a theory. Everyone had a suspect. And everyone wanted answers. Back at Yandy's house, things were quiet. Too quiet. She hadn't said a word to Mendeecees yet. She needed to be sure. She needed more. So she started asking around. Not directly, just subtle questions to friends and castmates. She even messaged one of Mendeecees' old friends from his street days, someone he hadn't talked to in years. The response? Another bombshell. "He never stopped seeing her," the message said. "Even when y'all got married, he was still on that BS. But I didn't say nothing back then. I thought you knew." Yandy dropped the phone. This was now bigger than just a voice note. This was a pattern, a betrayal that ran deeper than she imagined. Meanwhile, Mendeecees was acting normal. Too normal. Like he had no idea what storm was brewing behind Yandy's eyes. But that didn't last long, because the very next day, as Yandy was out filming a charity event for a new episode, her phone buzzed again. This time, it was a full-on video, a screen recording. It showed a DM conversation between Mendeecees and a woman with a private account. The messages weren't graphic, but they were intimate, playful, familiar. "You know you miss me?" he had written. "You already know what it is," she replied. No names, no dates. But the timing matched the exact week he had told Yandy he was on a business trip in Miami. When Yandy got home, she didn't wait. She sat him down in the living room. Camera crews weren't there. No producers, just her, him, and her phone sitting on the table. Screen recording still paused on the final message. "Do you know this woman?" she asked. Mendeecees looked. Down, then back up. "Why are you going through my stuff again, Yandy?" "Answer the question." He didn't. He stood up, ran his hand over his head, and muttered something about always being accused. But Yandy had enough. She hit play on the recording and let the audio fill the room. Not just the messages, her voice note too. For a long moment, he said nothing. And that silence, it said everything. Outside, fans were already picking sides. The leaked voice note had gone viral. Even some cast members were posting shady quotes online. One in particular, a former flame of Mendeecees from earlier seasons, tweeted, "Told y'all, loyalty ain't in his blood." Fans immediately began speculating if she was the woman in question. The comments were brutal. "This ain't new," one person posted. "Mendeecees been slick since season 3. Another wrote, "Poor Yandy. She held him down all them years just to get played." But back inside that brownstone, Yandy wasn't just worried about fans. She was worried about her kids, about how they'd see this years from now, about how she'd explain to her son why his dad wasn't sleeping in the house anymore. Because yes, she told him to leave. Not forever, not yet, but for now. She needed space. She needed answers. And Mendeecees, he didn't argue. He packed a small bag, grabbed his keys, and walked out without saying a word. What Yandy didn't know, though, was that he wasn't going to a hotel. He was headed straight into the arms of the one person she feared most, the woman from the messages. And that, right there, is where things really start to spiral. When Mendeecees walked out that door, Yandy thought maybe, just maybe, he'd go somewhere to clear his head. Maybe talk to his mother, maybe even come back in the morning with a different attitude. But that didn't happen. Instead, he disappeared. No calls, no texts, no updates, just silence. And the silence was louder than any argument they'd ever had. The next morning, Yandy checked his location. Yes, they shared that. But it was turned off. That was the first time in years he had done that. And right then, something inside her shifted. This wasn't just about cheating. It was about lying. Lying to someone who had sacrificed everything for him. What Yandy didn't know was that Mendeecees was in a private apartment complex on the other side of town, tucked away in a gated community where nobody would expect to find him. And inside that condo, the same woman from the DM messages. The woman who had now become the epicenter of the biggest betrayal Yandy had ever faced. According to a friend of the mystery woman, who leaked screenshots later, she had been seeing Mendeecees on and off for nearly a year. He told her he and Yandy were just co-parenting. The message read, he said he stayed for the kids, but he loved someone else. When that leaked to the blogs, it was war. Fans were furious. The betrayal wasn't just emotional, it was public, raw, humiliating. The woman herself didn't post anything, not directly, but her stories were loaded with indirect shade. 1. Post read, "Truth always comes out, even when you try to bury it." Another post showed a wine glass and the caption, "To the lies that finally burned down." And in the background, a blurry figure that looked a whole lot like Mendeecees. Meanwhile, Yandy was getting calls non-stop from production. They wanted to film. They wanted her reaction. They wanted to capture the rawness. But Yandy wasn't ready. She shut down filming for a week. She stopped answering texts from friends. She even stayed off Instagram, something fans noticed. Right away, "Where's Yandy?" one fan asked in a viral tweet. "She always posts her morning workouts. She gone dark. This must be serious." It was serious. Yandy was in full breakdown mode. But quiet, controlled. She spent her days journaling, talking to her therapist, and going over every moment in her mind. Every lie he told, every story that didn't add up. Every time she defended, this one wasn't from Yandy, it was from Mendeecees. And this one destroyed any hope that things were just misunderstood. In the voice note, which surfaced on a gossip podcast, Mendeecees can be heard venting to someone, presumably a friend. "Man, Yandy don't understand me. She never did. She always want to act like she the boss, like she made me. But she ain't there when I need real peace." He paused, then added, "Sometimes you just want to feel wanted." She stopped doing that. A long time ago, those words, They spread like wildfire, not just because of what he said, but because of how calm he sounded saying it. Like he really believed it. Like the years Yandy spent holding him down didn't matter anymore. The reaction online was immediate and brutal. So you needed peace, and your answer was cheating? One fan commented. Yandy made your name relevant, bro. Don't play her. Like that, another wrote. And in the middle of all of this, the silence from Yandy finally broke. She posted a black and white photo. No makeup, no filter, just her eyes looking straight into the camera. And one caption, "Betrayal is loud when silence follows." Within minutes, it had over 300,000 likes. Her fans, her army, flooded the comments with support. We got, "You're back, queen. Stay strong. You're better than this." But while social media was standing with her, the producers of the show were preparing for something bigger. They wanted to sit down. They wanted both of them. And they wanted to do it live. At first, Yandy said no. But then, she said yes. Because what Mendeecees didn't know, what no one knew, was that Yandy had more than just that first voice. Note, she had proof, text messages, call logs, even a photo someone had taken of him outside the woman's condo when he said he was in Atlanta, and Yandy was done playing quiet. The next part of this story, the reunion that no one was ready for. But before that moment would explode across TV and timelines, something else happened. Something no one expected. Mendeecees' mother showed up at Yandy's house, without warning, without invitation, and what she said at that front door? When Yandy opened the door, she didn't expect to see Judy, Mendeecees' mother, standing there, eyes tired, holding a small grocery bag and a folded note. There was an awkward silence, the kind that stretches, far beyond a few seconds. Yandy didn't move, didn't speak. And then Judy whispered, "Baby girl, can we talk?" Yandy stepped aside. They sat in the kitchen, the same kitchen where family dinners once happened, where Mendeecees used to play with the kids and talk about building legacy. And now, it felt like a courtroom. Two women on opposite sides of the truth. Judy didn't sugarcoat it. "I told him," she said, staring into her tea. "I told him if he did this, he'd lose you. Lose the only woman who ever held him down when the whole world turned on him." Yandy didn't blink. She kept her voice steady. "He already lost me. He just doesn't know it yet." Judy nodded slowly. Then she handed over the folded note. "He wrote this the day after the voice note leaked. He ain't have the courage to send it to you. Maybe you'll want to read it. Or maybe not." Yandy didn't open it right away. She kept it in her palm, but her eyes never left Judy's face. "He lied to you too," Yandy said. "He made all of us believe I was crazy." Judy exhaled. "He's a fool, and fools always come home too late." After Judy left, Yandy finally opened the note. The handwriting was rushed, uneven, and messy. "I never wanted to hurt you. I just didn't know how to be the man you deserved. Every time you looked at me like I was something, I felt like a fraud. I thought I could run from that feeling. But the truth chased me down. And now I'm alone." With it, there was no apology, not really, and that said everything. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, the producers had already scheduled the reunion. They were calling it the most explosive special in franchise history. They booked a neutral studio. No live audience, high security, only close friends, and cast allowed in the room. Because everyone knew this wasn't just about drama. This was about closure. On the day of the reunion, Yandy arrived in all white. Sleek, strong, composed, not a single hair out of place. She came with her manager, her best friend, and her receipts. Literal folders of printed messages, screenshots, and the new voice note fans hadn't even heard yet. Mendeecees showed up second. Quiet, wearing all black. The contrast was clear. Even the stylists noticed. "White for truth, black for guilt," someone whispered backstage. The tension was electric. When they finally sat across from each other, the air in the room was thick. The host began gently, asking how they'd been. Yandy was calm, composed. "I've been healing. It's not easy, but at least now I know who I am without lies clouding me." Mendeecees didn't speak right away. He nodded, swallowed, then said, "I never stopped loving you." Yandy blinked. Once. Slow. "You don't betray the people you love," she said. "You betray the people you think will never leave." And then she pulled out the phone. The room went silent. She tapped the play button on the newest leaked voice note. One that no one, not even production, had heard yet. In it, Mendeecees can be heard laughing with the same woman, mocking Yandy, saying she's too controlling, calling her the boss chick who forgot how to be a wife. Gasps filled the room. The host tried to speak, but Mendeecees cut in. And that wasn't supposed to go public. Yandy raised an eyebrow. So it's true? He paused, then nodded. Yeah, it's true. All of it. And just like that, the mask slipped. The facade cracked. Fans watching the clips later would describe that moment as historic. People were reposting the soundbite everywhere. Celebrities weighed in. Yandy deserves better, one actress tweeted. Another wrote, men like that never grow. They just move to new victims. But the biggest twist came right after the taping. As everyone was packing up, a production assistant handed Yandy an envelope. It had no name, just a single phrase. You missed one. Inside, a printed screenshot. From a second woman, another affair, different city, different timeline, same betrayal. And that's when Yandy finally broke. The reunion wasn't over. The story wasn't done. Mendeecees had no idea what was coming next, because Yandy was done sitting in pain. She was ready to fight back. And the next move was going to leave the internet in flames. The flight from New York to Atlanta wasn't about business. It wasn't about love. It was about answers. And when Yandy stepped off that plane, she wasn't just a reality TV star anymore. She was a woman on a mission. One name had popped up in that anonymous envelope. One woman who had quietly stayed out of the spotlight. Until now, her name was Tasha, not a cast member, not an influencer, just a familiar ghost from the past. The same woman Mendeecees once. Called just a friend from back in the day. Yandy had met her once. Briefly, a party years ago, polite, quiet, forgettable. And now here she was, at the center of a second betrayal. The confrontation didn't happen in a studio. It happened in a quiet cafe on the edge of Atlanta, away from cameras, away from lights, but not away from truth. I know about you, Yandy said, sliding into the booth. Tasha didn't flinch, didn't pretend, didn't run. He told me, you'd never find out, she said, but I hoped you would. Yandy's breath caught for half a second. You hope? Because you needed to know the whole truth, Tasha said, and he was never going to give it to you. Tasha then pulled out her phone, and just like that, another voice note. Mendeecees. Again. But this time, he wasn't mocking Yandy. He was begging Tasha to stay low, calling her his peace, his escape, telling her he was only staying with Yandy for the image, the brand. Yandy's fingers dug into the vinyl of the booth seat. You need to leak that, she said. Tasha shook her head. No, you do. You need to be the one who controls the story now. Back in New York, the leaks hit like thunder. Blogs lit up, headlines screamed betrayal. Mendeecees caught red-handed in second affair. Yandy's private showdown in Atlanta revealed. Meanwhile, Mendeecees stayed silent, but silence didn't save him. Fans turned, comments flipped. The same followers who once defended him were now posting snake emojis, dragging him in every live chat, tagging him in viral boy-bye trends. Influencers made TikToks reenacting the voice notes. Even ex-cast members started speaking up. I knew something was off, one said. He always acted too smooth, another added. And in the middle of the chaos, Yandy dropped her bomb. An exclusive interview. Raw. Unfiltered. I gave that man over a decade of my life, she said. I went to court with him. I raised our kids. I stood beside him when the world labeled him a criminal, and he was betraying me the entire time. The interviewer asked what hurt the most. Yandy's eyes welled, but she didn't cry. The lies. The little lies that turned into monsters. The way he made me feel like I was the problem. Like I was too much, when he was the one drowning in guilt. The internet exploded. Hashtags like Notch Team Yandy, Ma Let Yandy Speak, and Never Again started trending. But the most shocking moment was still to come, because while everyone was watching the drama unfold, someone else had been quietly gathering receipts. Remy, Yandy's close friend. And the one person Mendeecees didn't expect to turn. In a surprise live stream, Remy held up a flash drive. I kept this because I didn't know what it meant back then, she said. But now I get it. Inside the drive bank transfers, receipts, screenshots of Mendeecees secretly supporting the second woman financially. Not just cheating emotionally, but creating a whole double life, one he was paying for using. Their joint account. He made Yandy cover his public mess, Remy said, while he funded a private one. The betrayal wasn't just personal now, it was financial and legal. Yandy's team issued a statement that week, carefully worded, but sharp. We are reviewing all recent developments and considering our legal options regarding misappropriation of funds and breach of fiduciary trust. At this time, Mrs. Smith-Harris is focused on her healing and protecting her family. The fans cheered, "Take him for everything," one wrote. "He deserves to lose it all," another posted. And somewhere, in the middle of all the noise, Mendeecees finally spoke. A single Instagram story. Just black text on a white background. "I made mistakes. I was weak. I never stopped loving Yandy, but I understand if she never forgives me. I'll live with that." But the fans weren't having it. The shade room comments were brutal. Too late. "Don't play victim now. You only sorry you got caught." And still, Yandy stayed silent. Not because she didn't have more to say, but because sometimes silence is louder than any voice note. The storm was still raging. But Yandy, she was already building something bigger. And what she did next? No one saw coming. Just 3 days after Mendeecees posted his apology, Yandy showed up in front of a packed crowd at a women's empowerment summit in Brooklyn. Not as a victim, not even as a guest, but as the keynote speaker, dressed in all white, calm, collected, and fierce, she stood behind the podium like a woman reborn. "When someone betrays you, they don't just steal your trust," she said. "They try to rewrite your story, but I came here to tell you, I'm taking my pen back." The room erupted in applause. Fans cried, bloggers rushed to quote her. And backstage, her team revealed something even bigger, a documentary series, raw footage, personal vlogs, voice notes, private moments, all compiled into a mini docuseries titled My Truth. Behind the betrayal, networks were already bidding for it. And in just 48 hours, the trailer dropped online. It opened with Yandy looking straight into the camera. "They say reality TV is fake," she says. "But what happens when your real life becomes more shocking than the show?" Cut to voice notes, arguments, flashbacks of courtroom scenes, DMs, and a blurred-out woman's silhouette. The internet exploded. Within minutes, it was trending #1 on Twitter. "This is bigger than love and hip-hop," fans tweeted. "This is real reality," others echoed. Mendeecees, meanwhile, tried to counter. He posted old pictures, memories, cute family moments, even clips from their vow renewal, all captioned with vague lines like, "What we had was real," and "Never forget where we started." But for the first time, his charm didn't work. The comment sections were filled with heartbreak, not hope. "You destroyed it. Stop trying to guilt trip her. You had your chance." Even former castmates weighed in. One posted, "We all saw how Yandy held him down. If he could betray her, what chance do the rest of us have?" Another added, "It's always the ones who preach loyalty, the loudest who hide the most." And while Mendeecees stayed in damage control mode, another shockwave hit: the court filings. Yes, Yandy had moved forward, not just emotionally, but legally. According to newly surfaced documents, she filed for separation of assets, claimed misuse of funds, and requested a full audit of their joint businesses. The betrayal wasn't just emotional anymore. It had consequences, serious ones. And yet the final twist wasn't legal. It was emotional. Because 2 days after the filings, Yandy's kids were interviewed on a lighthearted family podcast. One of the hosts, thinking they were being cute, asked, "So is Daddy coming back home soon?" There was silence. Then her son looked at the camera and said, "Mom says some people love you wrong, and that it's okay to walk away from wrong love." You could hear the heartbreak in that child's voice. Fans broke down, reposting clips, commenting, "This hit too hard." Some even confessed it made them leave toxic relationships of their own. And Yandy, she posted just one line that day, a plain story with the words, "Breaking generational cycles." But while she was healing, growing, documenting, Mendeecees wasn't done making mistakes. In a desperate attempt to win public sympathy, he went live on Instagram. "I was under pressure," he said. "I felt abandoned. I felt like I couldn't breathe." But as the comments flooded in, calling him manipulative, the live ended abruptly. Then, a glitch. The feed didn't fully cut. And for a split second, you could hear a woman's voice off camera. "You said this would work," she whispered. And just like that, speculation exploded. Was that the other woman? Did he stage this whole thing? This man has no shame. Memes, edits, replays, breakdowns. It all went viral in seconds. The clip made it to morning news. Even non-reality outlets started covering the downfall of Mendeecees Harris, from love and hip-hop star to alleged manipulator. And Yandy? She didn't say a word. She didn't need to, because by then, her docuseries had landed a major streaming deal. In, yes, the teaser for episode 2, fans heard a line they couldn't stop quoting. "He didn't just cheat on me," Yandy says in a voiceover. "He made me doubt myself." But never again. The final scene of the trailer showed Yandy walking through an empty courtroom hallway, her heels echoing, her chin high. The voiceover continued. "This time, the story ends my way, rewriting it and turning pain into power. Because in a world where the loudest lie always tries to drown the quiet truth, Yandy made sure her truth was loud enough to shake the whole industry. And now, after everything that's come to light, from the voice note to the courtroom drama, the blurred face in that leaked live, and the chilling final words from her own child, we're left staring at a truth even reality TV couldn't script. Yandy Smith didn't just face betrayal. She walked through fire and came out burning brighter. The woman who once stood beside Mendeecees as his ride or die now stands alone, stronger, louder, and clearer than ever. And with her docuseries taking over the internet, fans aren't just watching her reclaim her power. They're feeling it too. But here's the thing. The story isn't over. Will Mendeecees try to fight back legally? Will that mysterious woman from the live stream speak up? And could this voice note be just the first of many more explosive leaks? No one knows. But what's clear is this. Yandy has found her voice. And this time, she's not silencing it. For anyone. So now, we want to hear from you. Was Yandy right to go public with everything? Do you think Mendeecees still has more secrets to spill? Or are you one of those fans who believes this is just the beginning of an even bigger fallout? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We're reading every single one. Don't forget to like this video if the truth shook you as much as it shook us, and hit that subscribe button so you never miss the next bombshell in this ongoing drama. This is more than a scandal. This is the new chapter of Yandy's truth. And trust us, it's just getting started.